Hey, so this is a story time about how I discovered life coaching. Now, I almost 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, I was widowed and I had to get rid of everything and break my lease and move back in with my parents, which was amazing, so fun, with my young daughter. And I was just trying to figure out what was I going to do now because obviously I didn't get married and have a baby to to do that. And that's one thing about life is that sometimes you can't control everything. You might think you have a plan, but things happen that are out of our control. But that doesn't mean that you can't be in control of you. So what that spearheaded was me looking into different schools, colleges, courses, certificates, and that's when I found a life coaching course. And I really resonated with life coaching, but I couldn't afford it because it was all the way in Atlanta for a whole weekend. So I needed to either drive or fly, and then of course the course, and then of course my hotel stay, and I had a young daughter, and emotionally I still wasn't there to even take on all of that. And so I always loved the idea of that, but I wrote it down in a notebook and shoved it away. I went on to have so many different other entrepreneur ideas and blah, 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 blah. But I just never took the time to cultivate those things until much later, almost 4 years later. And so up and down, I'm still learning myself, failing, failing, failing. And when I say failing, just it really was an opportunity for me to learn from my mistakes. And if you're not failing, you're not progressing because I was trying at something, but I still hadn't tweaked it right. It was still some things missing. So when I did come back to entrepreneurship after I had my second, and it was a product line, and I had it in Nubian Human and Acacia, which was like a collective store. I still didn't have enough self-care and self-love. I still didn't have a strong sense of identity. And so I had to go back to the drawing board and go to therapy and heal and relearn myself, get to know myself, reinvent myself. And I took the next 5 years after that just figuring me out while working and moving and getting into healthcare and just making a living for myself, working 2 and 3 jobs and doing all the things, okay? But at my core, at my center, behind closed doors, in the privacy of my own mind, because I couldn't always say the privacy of my own home, because sometimes I had a roommate or I lived with my grandma, and it was just a lot. But the whole time I was saving and staying positive and just getting closer to myself. And then guess what? The pandemic hit. And so the same course that was originally in Atlanta went virtual, and still a weekend, but I could do it in the comfort of my own home. And I just lunged at the opportunity because I had the finances, I had a quiet space to be present and do the course the whole weekend. And that's when I learned everything I needed to be a successful life coach. And what also was great about the timing was that I was who I needed to be a great life coach. Because I think and I know that had I done it before, okay, I would have had the tips and tricks, I guess, and the strategy behind how to help other people, but I wasn't helping myself. I didn't know what I needed to know about myself in order to tell someone else, hey, not only can I help you, but I've been there, done that. I know exactly what you're feeling. And I also had to figure it out on my own. I also had to take years and years and years of trial and error again and learning and combining all these different, I don't want to say doctrines, but methods, tips and tricks and ideologies and suggestions and, from a lot of different people in the industry, not just life coaches, but content creators and spiritual leaders and pastors and gurus and stylists and makeup artists and women that were older than me. That's another thing that I really loved seeing a shift as far as social media goes. Women that were 40 plus, they were showing up and saying, look, y'all little girls need to listen up. And they were also talking to their own target audience, obviously. But I loved the internet aunties. That's what I call them, because with time and age comes wisdom and knowledge. And there's going to be some things that I'll never understand until I get to 40, until I get to 50. Okay. But I can tell you one thing. I definitely got my 20s in the bag. And being 30 and coming up to my mid 30s, I feel like it's totally different from my 20s. I'm embracing my 30s so I can speak to a millennial. I can speak to a mom in her 30s. I can speak to a Black woman. I can speak to a woman with natural hair, okay? I can speak to a single mom. I can speak to someone in healthcare, in nursing, facing burnout. I can speak to someone working 2 and 3 jobs and how they think about money and their relationship with their money. I can speak to someone who just got out of a relationship. I can speak to someone that's been widowed. And, there was a time when I couldn't confidently say that that was my experience because there was a lot of shame. There was a lot of guilt. There was a lot of trauma and things that I wanted to just separate myself from those things, okay? But by now embracing them and saying, okay, and so what? You also can't look at me and tell what I've been through. You can't look at me and tell that was then, this is now, okay? And I also want to reiterate that success looks different for everyone. I made a video about that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have 6 figures. My man does, but I don't. But his is mine. I'm not going to tell you that I've had $1 million this, $1 million that. I'm not going to tell you that I built a business in less than a year. I'm not going to tell you that, I dated super fast and then I did all these things overnight. These are a lot of the buzz, trendy, popular things, kind of clickbait. Hey, baby, lay down. Things. And I'm not trying to discredit anyone and say that those things aren't true, but what my point is that a lot of those things sound like success. A lot of those things, if you're not on that level, then what are you doing? Not that I don't think I deserve these things, not that I don't think these things are coming, but my success was first having peace. My success at first was just being able to save the money and see the money. My success is first was just loving the skin I was in, my body type, my hair, my weight, okay? My success was just being able to do what I wanted when I wanted. Book a trip, go to the mall, spend time with family, enjoy the things that just make life so sweet that really aren't expensive, like a glass of wine outside on the back porch, in the evening while the kids are running around, or being able to take a walk and whatever, or cook with family, whatever it is. When you have peace, when you have inner happiness, when you have inner confidence, you feel like you're $1 million. You feel like no one can touch me, and I wouldn't trade places with anybody. And I don't want to be something I'm not, to think that, okay, by getting more and more and more, that's going to be my answer. That's going to be my happiness. So there's a difference in, have great big goals. Absolutely. One day I want to make over $100,000 for myself too. But right now, guess what? It came through another channel. Yeah, I said, I want to be a homeowner. I never bought my home. I moved in with my fiance and he gave me this home. So it's not about so much how you do it or how you get it, but does it still come? And do you have still access to it? And can you still enjoy the thing? So we've got to get away from finding inspiration, but then instead of feeling like, oh, okay, she did it, I can do it too, feeling like, oh, damn, like, look at her. Feeling inadequate, feeling some edge of competition or jealousy or envy or whatever. Yes, baby.
Where's Wendell?
He ran to the store. He'll be back. Okay. So that's the difference. And so when I was ready, and I mean super ready, because it still sat on my life coaching knowledge for a while. Once I launched, once I started showing up on YouTube and saying, oh, and by the way, I'm a life coach. Once I launched my website, once I said, hey, This is my mastermind. This is what we finna do. It just added another layer to my cake, the icing to my cake. But I didn't necessarily need that to be my best self. I didn't necessarily need that. And that's another thing that we need to, find in life is just, you're not your career. You're not your degree. Those things are great. Those things are nice. But again, knowing who you are at your core, okay? Knowing who you are without all those external things, without the relationship, without the titles, without the money. Money doesn't make you. Money's a great tool to have, but money doesn't make you. And you also don't have to wear your salary or your savings account or your assets on your chest. Because again, you can have all the money in the world and you can be the most beautiful person in the world and still be empty on the inside. And so when I wanted to come into the life coaching realm, I knew that by helping single moms, especially moms, women, find out what they need to do to love themselves to their core, to care for themselves to their core, and to continue to discover themselves and to show up for themselves and take care of themselves like they take care of everybody else and focus on everything else. That can then build the foundation for you to be able to show up in other areas and grow in other areas. Because if you are not enough, you're not going to get far. That's like getting in a car that's on E. Where you think you're going? What you think you're going? Now, you can have all the faith and prayer and belief in the world. But if you don't actively get the gas somehow, call AAA, flag somebody down, walk with a gas tank, whatever you got to do to get that car back on the road, you ain't going nowhere. And so I use a car as an example because you are the vehicle in your life. And also, too, we decide what kind of vehicle we're working with. Are you self-sabotaging and picking hoopties in cars that are just total disasters? Like, why? Or are you investing in yourself and saying, okay, it's time to get this Porsche. I'm leveling up to a Porsche because that's my style. That's my thing. I love a Porsche. Or for someone else, it's an Infiniti. For someone else, it's a Mercedes. So that vehicle represents, how you take care of your body, how you talk to yourself, how you show up for yourself, how you style everything, how you feel about yourself, what you eat, what you drink, how much you rest. What situations do you put yourself in? What drama do you allow? What dudes do you allow? Everything shapes the type of vehicle you have in your life to even go where you want to go. So we can work through all of that. It sounds overwhelming, but it's not. It took me years because I didn't laser focus and work with the professional. Again, at that time, I didn't have the funds. And I didn't have the funds because I didn't believe I had the funds. I didn't have the funds because it really wasn't a priority, because I really thought that as much as I knew about life coaching, okay, well, I got to get this bag first. I got to work these jobs first. I really didn't do it because I didn't see a coach that had exactly what I was looking for. I didn't need health and wellness. I didn't need spirituality. I needed someone to help me tap into my femininity. I needed someone to help me figure out my strategy and my life plan, my life design. So I just became that type of coach. That's all. So I hope that's inspiring to someone out there. Thank you for watching this one, and until the next one, as always, peace. Bye.